Our military represents some of the best men and women our country has to offer. Each and every one of the men and women who serve are strong, smart, and skilled, and they use their capabilities every single day to protect our country. However, the integrity of certain portions of our military is currently being threatened.
Our nation was built on the premise of the citizen soldier. In our democracy, I believe it is the responsibility of every citizen to protect the nation.
Today, Defense Secretary Leon Panetta announced the military will let women serve in frontline combat units, including infantry, armor, artillery, even potentially special forces.
The Department of Defense announced this week that ladies, men, everybody will have an equal role when it comes to frontline combat missions. On the telephone, former Navy SEAL and Montana State Senator Ryan Zinke. Senator Zinke, hi there, how are you?
Hey, great to be here.
Hey, thanks very much for being here with us. Now, a quick question right off the bat. Are we compromising the integrity of our national defense by putting ladies in frontline combat?
Short answer is yes.
Last year, former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta issued a mandate that requires each military force to open combat roles to women. Combat positions are the most physically demanding of any role in the military, and women have typically been barred from the positions due to physical capability. Although the average physical performance for males is still clearly higher than the average for females, the executive decision was made to allow women in combat roles based on the premises that there are some females who can perform equal to or better than their male counterparts. The movement was put into place to provide equal opportunities for women, assuming they can meet the physical standards. Early this year, 3 women passed the Marine Corps' physically and mentally grueling combat training course, which was celebrated by the supporters of the mandate. However, other data shows that the mandate may have been premature or unfounded. In the first trial of the basic course, 9 out of 10 women failed on the first day, and the 10th dropped out a week later. Since then, the graduation rate of females has improved to 33.3%, but that number is still substandard to the males' rate of 83%. The substandard female performance is beginning to take tolls on the integrity of the physical standards held by the military. As part of the mandate, each branch was required to develop gender-neutral standards for the physical fitness tests servicemen and women are subjected to. The Marine Corps began the standardization process by requiring both men and women to perform a minimum of 3 pull-ups. However, only 45% of the women in the course were able to meet the requirement, seemingly making the standard no longer gender-neutral. As a result, women are offered a fixed arm hang assessment, while men are still required to complete the pull-ups. This fact may have very harmful impacts on the readiness of servicewomen for combat positions. One Marine Corps official believes that pull-ups require the muscular strength necessary to perform common military tasks such as scaling a wall, climbing a rope, or lifting and carrying heavy munitions. The hanging assessment, on the other hand, does little to adapt muscular strength needed for military tasks. Only a year from the release of the mandate, the physical standards of our military are being compromised to accommodate women. Elaine Donnelly, president of the Center for Military Readiness, stated that the data showing the differences in the physical performance between men and women is a clear indication that plans to move women into direct ground combat fighting teams will not work. Awarding gender norm scores so that women can succeed lower standards for all. Women will suffer more injuries and resentment they do not deserve, and men will be less prepared for the demands of direct ground combat. In addition to the low passing rate of women and adjustment of standards, many believe that the physical differences between men and women are even more prominent than the data shows. All of the comparisons for physical performance are made on the minimum standards, rather than the average performance or maximums. Some argue that the maximum standards show the true differences in physical capability between men and women. For example, although the minimum requirement for pull-ups was set at 3 for both genders, the maximum for women was set at 8, which is less than half of the maximum for men set at 20. While women may be able to achieve performance levels of the same minimum standards as men, it is unlikely that the best performing woman enlisted will be able to outperform the highest performing man simply due to biological differences. While proponents of the mandate opening combat positions to women believe that many women are capable of performing at levels that allow them to be successful in these roles, the data suggests otherwise. Although there are many strong, physically fit women serving in our military forces, the average performance of women is still not up to par with that of men, who have been successfully performing in combat roles in the military since it was developed. It is important that the Department of Defense moves forward with the integration of women into combat roles very carefully. For if the standards for physical performance are substantially changed, it could result in serious risk of injury for women in training, as well as minimum qualifications that don't prepare service members for the demands of actual combat situations. If the standards of our military are to be upheld, officials must develop a plan to successfully train and prepare women for the physical demands of combat roles at the current standards required of men. Although this mandate may seem like another step towards equal rights for women in our society, it should not be given at the expense of the integrity of our military and the lives of our soldiers.